Welcome to the Cohesive Home Podcast. Kate is still on baby leave, and although I do miss her, I'm pretty excited to share today's interview with you. Josh and Jenna are the inspiring couple behind the website Nomad Yoga Family. This couple had it all: a thriving yoga studio, their dream home, beautiful children, and plenty of international travel. They decided in 2015 to sell everything and embrace a nomadic lifestyle. They now live in an earth roamer with their 2 kids and travel to yoga studios throughout North America and beyond to offer business consultations and to teach. I hope you enjoy my interview with Josh and Jenna. Welcome, Josh and Jenna. I'm so excited to chat with you guys today and share with our audience your story. So you two have made some major moves in the past few years. Why don't we start with you guys sharing a bit about your story and what pushed you to start traveling full time?
Well, Josh and I had always traveled individually. Josh lived in Chile and Mexico in his early 20s, and I traveled to Southeast Asia and India. So we had always loved traveling. And then when we got married, we knew that traveling was something that we wanted to keep doing. And when we had our kids, we kind of said to each other, well, let's not be those people who have kids and let kids change everything. So we wanted to keep traveling with them. We did own a yoga studio in Red Deer, Alberta, and we bought a house. And we'd always try to travel with our kids a few times a year, like, for 3 weeks or for a month, and not just go to a resort, like really travel and experience a new culture.
Yeah, we wanted to, we've always enjoyed like trying to integrate into the area that we're in. And for me anyways, and Jenna as well, I guess, we traveled around in Canada a little bit, but didn't even go on an airplane until I was like 18. So I was really excited to expose our kids to that too, and get them to see that the world is this huge place.
Were there some big moments in your life, or were they little moments? Like, what kind of said, okay, we want to show our kids the world. We want to show them, that there's a broader picture here. So what kind of pushed you guys in that direction to do it full time? Because I know you were doing the little travels, but how about full-time travel?
Well, we would find that when we were traveling with our kids, like for a month at a time, when we were on the road, we just had so much time together as a family without, cell phones and computers and work getting in the way. And I feel like we were always really lucky with owning our own business because we could bring our kids to work with us and we could have a more flexible schedule. But when we were traveling with them, for like a month at a time, there was always that time constraint. And with owning our own business at the same time, like we always had to be there, like had to be the face of the yoga studio. So we were trying to figure out how could we own the studio and still travel as much as we wanted to with our kids. And we talked about, hiring a manager or doing 6 months somewhere else, and then 6 months owning our studio. And in the end, we decided that it was when we were in Ecuador that we decided that we wanted to sell the studio to travel full time. And even though we didn't know what we were going to do for work or how we were going to make this traveling happen, we decided to take that plunge. And then, we did have kind of a bigger, more intense life experience that I think accelerated that process of selling everything and getting on the road.
Yeah. So when you own your own business, it's a little bit like having another kid as well. So your mind is always partly attached to that. And as a small business owner, I think most people, for us anyways, we opened a yoga studio because that's what we were passionate about. Mm-hmm. And so we didn't open it up with an exit strategy. So it was when we were discussing what do we do next in our lives, or, what's our exit strategy, or are we going to exit, that we sort of decided, we've looked at other businesses or other countries to move to and things, and there was no one single thing that we really wanted to do, but we knew that we loved traveling and knew that we loved traveling with our kids. So that was really where the concept came from, and then we started looking it up, like, hey, families do this. They live on sailboats, they drive around.
Yeah.
So that's where the concept came from. But we thought at that point we would start putting it in motion. It would take 3 or 5 years maybe.
Right.
But then we were in Ecuador and we went to take our kids out on the beach, and we went to this, nice rock archway spot. And we were in a freak rock accident. This rock fell like at that exact moment in that spot on that beach that day, only one rock, and hit us and actually killed our daughter.
Oh my gosh.
And so, besides getting ourselves in order after that, it also really amplified for us the realization that, this is a little bit finite, our lives.
Yeah.
And it's easy to come up with excuses or to make a list of things like, I need to accomplish this first, or we should get these ducks in a row, so to speak, before we do what we want to do. And that's just not really our true personalities. And that really pushed that in our faces.
Yeah.
So from that moment, we just decided we'd go for it and try living like this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think instead of kind of going into the whole fearful aspect of things, like, this horrible thing happened to us, and, what if something bad happens again, it caused us to be actually more kind of open to opportunity and feel more confident to be more spontaneous, and just, I don't know, trust that things happen for a reason. So I think, in a weird way, losing our daughter helped our hearts to kind of open more and helped us to be more confident to follow this dream of ours to travel.
That's so amazing, because like what you said, being led by fear, there's so many people that if that were to happen to them, they go the opposite way. And so I think that's amazing. Turning such a tragedy into a positive thing. I think that's just, wow. How did your family and your friends and especially your yoga community? I know you probably had a lot of loyal, yogis at your studio. How did they all handle the news that you were going to be leaving Canada and just hitting the road and, probably coming back at some point? But, especially after, and this is just me speaking from my experience, a tragedy didn't happen, but we left for Germany for a year and we didn't know how long we were going to be gone. It ended up just being a year. But, my family was like devastated that we were leaving because we're taking their grandkids away too. And so how did your family take that?
Well, on my side of the family, there's just my dad and my brother, and they're both a little bit nomadic themselves, so they didn't really react too much. But I was actually surprised. I was actually surprised how, grandma and grandpa and everyone else, brothers-in-laws, sisters-in-laws, all reacted, in that they reacted very positively. They were very supportive. And partially, I think that was just because at that point we had already done a bunch of stuff that they didn't think was normal, like open a yoga studio. So, for them, I think it was a little bit more of like, oh, this is just another thing that these guys are going to do. So they, expressed their love for us and were very disappointed that we were leaving because they were so happy for us to live around them. But they were surprisingly supportive for me anyways.
I think that it really helped that we were so confident with what we were doing too, and that we weren't kind of being held back by fear or the details or like needing to figure everything out, because we were confident. They just wanted us to be happy, I think, and they knew that we were doing something that, even if it's not for everybody, or maybe it's not something that they would want to do, they knew that we were doing something that was going to make us happy, and so they supported us in that. But we were nervous to tell our friends and family at first, especially grandma and grandpa, for the same reason you were talking about, like taking their grandkids away. But actually, my mom is here with us in Acapulco right now, so she says, you can run, but you can't hide. I'm just going to come visit you wherever you guys go. So we're very lucky to have family, my dad as well, come in and visit us. And as far as the yoga studio goes, I feel like Josh and I, when we opened the studio, we had a really specific vision and goal that we wanted to accomplish. And we did that. You know, we created a really financially successful studio, and we had strong students and a really great yoga community, and we mentored a lot of teachers, and we really did accomplish what we set out to accomplish with the studio. And so it just felt like, to us, it was time to like pass that on to somebody else, and we sold it to two of our teachers who have taken it over. And I think that they're putting more enthusiasm and more energy and more kind of fire into the yoga community, and I think that's what it needed, was somebody else to take it on and like bring it to the next level. So I mean, I know that probably our students and teachers miss us and we miss them, but they know, again, that we're following our dreams because we're teaching yoga on the road, and spreading our knowledge of yoga business on the road to other studios too. So it's just kind of an evolution.
Yeah, that's awesome.
just to add to that too, I would say, you know, as lifetime yoga teachers, it's like we try to lead by example whenever we can as well. Mm-hmm. So I think people should live the lives that they want. So we should live the lives that we want.
Yes,
sort of, you know, help that realization be obvious.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, on Cohesive Home, and we talk a lot about, you know, living by your values. And so it's like, well, you're not doing anybody, you know, a service if you're not doing that, if you're not following your passion. So I think that's
absolutely
awesome.
No doubt.
Okay. So you're on the road and you are in an earth roamer, which I have never laid eyes on one until I saw yours. And it's a monster. I mean, that thing is like, it is awesome. So, you know, it's not something that, you know, people might see every day. So I'll definitely put a picture in the show notes. But can you tell us some more about your wonderful home on wheels?
Well, I'll get Josh to give you more details, but I always tell people it looks really big from the outside, but then you go inside and it's not so much living space.
Yeah, I mean, when we were trying to choose what vehicle, well, first off, we thought maybe we should go sailing, but neither of us sail, so that was out. So then we thought we better start driving. So we were looking at different vehicles, and we at first saw a bunch of vans that we really liked, and I liked them because they were a 4x4 and we could like go up mountains with them. But then the second we went into any of them, and we tried a lot of different brands, there was no configuration that is built for a family. And we came to the realization very quickly, like there's a massive difference between traveling for even, let's say, a month in a vehicle and living in one full time. So we just started making a list of criteria that we really wanted. Things like we have to have an actual bathroom ready to go, not something we have to set up or a porta potty. We want to have at least one bed that's ready to go at any point in time. So if we need to, we can just pull over and put the kids to sleep. And we need to be able to store some actual food and, you know.
Well, and have some space for gear, because, I mean, we're driving from Canada to Argentina. So going through a lot of different seasons and a lot of different types of geography and hiking and biking and being active. So we needed a little bit of storage as well.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, basically everything that a regular family has, but how do you put it on wheels? So we ran the full gamut. We even went and test drove like some big buses and some brand new RVs and standard ones. But then you run into the problem, like where we are here, we were just up in Mexico City too. You can't drive anything that's like big around or it's a huge hassle to do it. And some of the roads that we were on in Baja too, you know, they're a little bit back roady, were randomly rough or tight corners or whatever. And you don't really know if you're on that road until you get to that point. So that was another factor. Yeah. So also the safety factor, you know, we wanted a vehicle that we thought was tough and that we, you know, wouldn't break down on us and could handle some, you know, rough driving and some constant living. And also, you know, so we looked at like trucks with campers, for example, but we want to be able to get from the cab to the back of the truck, you know, for safety at night and stuff too. So
And another thing that we wanted to do was to be able to kind of go off the beaten track. So, having something where we could get our power from solar and carry a bunch of water and go off road and not be reliant on, just going and setting up on a cement pad in an RV park. Not that that's not nice, but that wasn't really the type of full-time travel that we had in mind. We wanted to be able to really explore and go out into nature.
Yeah, so getting rid of some of the standard limitations that you find in whatever vehicle travel. So we made a list of things, and like the day after we made the list, I was looking online on a forum, and we found this truck for sale. And normally these things would be cost prohibitive for us, but this was 11 years old and in great shape, and the guy was happy to sell it to us because we phoned him. He was in Montana and we were in Alberta. So it was like a 7-hour drive down to see him. I phoned him like right away and said, "Do you still have it? Like, we'll be there tomorrow." So it was just the right fit, and we're so happy with it. And what's that? Sorry.
Oh, I said, do you want to tell some of like the details about?
Yeah. So the big thing about the Earth Roamer is that it's a 4x4 truck. And then the back is built like a truck camper, but it's really built more like a boat or a yacht. And it employs a lot of those systems. So we're energy independent. We can carry like 300 and something liters of water. And we have everything we need in the vehicle. So we don't have to plug in. We don't have to hook up to water. And it's a 4x4 with ground clearance. Wow. So it's pretty awesome, actually. Yeah.
I know I watched one of your YouTube videos where you were going through this like really rugged terrain and you're going over these giant boulder looking rocks. And I'm going, how in the world is that thing doing that? It was impressive. It was very impressive.
It was kind of terrifying at the time.
I can imagine.
Like I know that we got this truck so that we can go off road and like go on these rocky, gravelly, rough terrain roads or whatever. But whenever we're on them, it's definitely, a huge adrenaline rush, but it's nerve-wracking for me, especially. Josh is pretty confident, but I'm like, why did we get this truck again? Maybe we should just stick to the main roads. But it is fun, and it's pretty cool that we have that ability to handle any terrain. That does make me feel confident, even though it might be scary at the time, to see like, okay, no, the truck can handle this. We can do this. The kids are just bouncing around. They're having fun. Everyone's smiling. So.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and the thing too is some of the best spots that we've been to, because we're not like looking for hardcore roads to drive on. It's just the ability to get to wherever you want to go. So some of the coolest spots that we've been to have been down these, 1-lane gravel roads with, a couple of rocky sections. Yeah. And then you all of a sudden get to some random beach where there's nobody there and you can park right on the, That's nearby and have a great sunset view sort of thing. So
that sounds awesome. I didn't know that you could, it makes sense now, the name Earth Roamer, but I didn't know that you could have like the solar panels and all the water and stuff like that. That's really cool. Like, yeah, I want one. Well, okay. So question, you guys are definitely more, I guess, living simply now, more of a minimalist lifestyle because you're almost forced to within this, the smaller space that you're living in. Had you guys already been living a more like simple lifestyle before you decided to travel? Or is this something that was kind of spurred on, like because you decided to travel full time?
Well, I don't think that we were living extravagantly or like super luxuriously, but we bought the house that we wanted, this like cute character home that had been renovated, and we bought like new furniture when we bought it. And I don't know, we always just kind of went out for coffee or picked up things for the house or whatever, or new clothes, and like didn't really think about it too much. Yeah. And when we sold our house and got rid of everything, like we don't have much in storage. I think we have one closet at my mom's with like, some winter clothes and sentimental stuff. But otherwise, we tried to sell everything or give everything away. And it was just staggering how much stuff we accumulated over the years that we weren't using or didn't really need. Or then when we tried to sell it, we realized that this really doesn't have any value to anybody, even if it has value to us. So that was a huge eye opener for us.
Yeah.
And now with the truck, like you were saying, we have to really be very stringent. Like, okay, if we're going to buy this book or, this new pair of shoes, like, do we need it? Where are we going to put it? Can we get rid of something else that we don't need anymore in order to like fit that item into our lives? And more often than not, we end up just saying, you know what, we don't actually really need it. But when you have a full-size house and you have storage, it's easy to forget about, do I really need this? Or what function is this going to fulfill in my life? Or am I just buying it for the, momentary satisfaction, and then I'm going to forget about it in 2 weeks?
Oh yes. I feel like every time I walk into Target, I'm like, just don't go to that side. Just don't do it. Just go get your bread and leave.
It's so true. I mean, even the simplest thing here is I'll see a t-shirt that I like.
Yes.
I'm like, that's an awesome t-shirt.
Yeah.
And normally I'd probably just go get it. But now I'm like, I only got space for 6 t-shirts. So is there a different t-shirt I want to get rid of so I can have this t-shirt? And if there's not, then it doesn't make any sense.
I love that. It's like forced minimalism. You guys, it's really, I'm kind of jealous of that, because when you have the room to get something else, you justify it sometimes, and with that, you just can't. How many drawers? Don't you have just like 3 drawers that you have your clothes in?
Yeah, I have 3 drawers. Jenna has a sort of closet, but I mean, some of the kid stuff's in there too.
Yeah, inevitably. Kid stuff just seems to seep into every crevice of our home.
It does. And you know what the funny thing is? I mean, people always ask us, like, what did you have to leave behind that you really wish you would have brought with you? Or like, if you had more space, what would you bring? Or like, what would you suggest that we pack for a big trip or for traveling? And we always look back and say, I wish we would have brought less stuff.
Yeah.
Or I wish we wouldn't have tried to plan ahead and like, buy certain items, because in the end we didn't need them. Like, we never feel like we want more things. We only ever feel like we want to simplify more. So it's like, once you get on that road of living more simply and living more minimally, it's like not addictive, but you just want to keep going like more simply with less stuff, because it's nice.
Yeah. Well, and I think I have to make the point too, like, I wouldn't even consider us minimalists. Like, maybe versus the status quo, we have less physical stuff because we just can't bring more with us. But like, there's a lot of people out there living way more minimalistic than we are, because one of the nice things about this larger truck with good storage is we actually can bring quite a lot of stuff with us. So that's, to Jenna's point, that like, that's exactly it. All the time I'll open something up and be like, when's the last time we used this? Like, it's been 2 weeks. Maybe we should get rid of it.
Yeah.
So. But
you guys don't really know, like you were saying, you don't know. Do you know where you're going next? Or like, can you kind of plan that out? Or is it, oh, this opportunity came up and so we're just going to go there?
A little bit of both. We've, and it depends on where we are in the moment too. So sometimes, if we're planning on meeting family somewhere, that's kind of what dictates our route. Or right now we're at a yoga teacher training, teaching and helping out, and I'm doing business coaching. So that's why we're here in Acapulco. Yeah. But other than that, we're like, here's some sites we want to see that are in the south direction towards South America. And then we usually make a plan like kind of 1 month in advance. Like, okay, for the next month, let's sort of follow this route, and this sounds really awesome and this is good. But often you don't know until you get to an area where you really want to stick around longer, or where you should just stay for a day or two and then take off again. Yeah. So we're trying as well to stay open to opportunity, because some of the cool spots we found, like definitely the best beaches we've been on, have not been ones that we were not even on our radar, when we left, and then someone tells us about it, and then the next person does, and then the next person, and we're like, holy cow, like we better go to this beach. Yeah. And then you get there and it's awesome. And like one of them, we got stuck there for a month because it was so good. So,
oh, darn.
Yeah, exactly. So, we're trying to like have that flexibility as well in our plan.
So you're down in Acapulco for your business, and your business is yoga. And so the yoga lifestyle and, a simple, simplistic, even you can call it minimalistic. I mean, Kate and I always call ourselves lazy minimalists because, like you were saying, you may not be minimalist compared to somebody else's, chart of what a minimalist is. But to us, living simply is really key in that. So the yoga lifestyle and simplicity really go hand in hand. So do you have any tips for our listeners on how to bring more mindfulness and movement to their daily lives?
Yeah, lots of them. Maybe too many for the show. I mean, I think the most misunderstood concept in yoga living, in my opinion, on the whole, is that being minimalist doesn't mean doing without. It's not about like detachment and like not having things. It's just about like deprivation. Yeah, you're not supposed to deprive yourself of anything. Mm-hmm. It's just about focusing on the things that really actually matter and then realizing how happy they make you and really feeling that happiness. So, the most fun that we have is together as a family on a beach. And kids are the best example of this because we've got a bunch of toys or whatever that we've brought with us as well. And our son, Arjun, wants to always get more toys when he sees them. But then we go to the beach and he doesn't play with a shovel and a pail. He picks up a stick and a shell and a rock.
Yep.
And he's happy for like hours, Yeah. So you just come to realize that what makes you happy is in your head and with the people and the family that you're around, not in the things that you have. So when you're looking to just focus on maybe living a more minimalist lifestyle, I would say the first step, and this is the misunderstood part, is to really take care of yourself. Mm. As parents, that's really hard because we always think kids. But if you are sickly, like if you're not healthy, if you don't feel good, if your head's not on straight, then you have trouble being the best parent you can be. And so you have to take care of that. So you got to kind of take care of your own. And it's not being selfish. It's actually being serving to everyone around you. Mm-hmm. So that's the hardest part of it. And that usually means just taking some time for yourself or eating healthy or doing some yoga, these simple things. Mm-hmm. that we often neglect. And then from that, everything else kind of grows, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. It's challenging for any parent, I think, to find personal time, when you've got a marriage and a job and kids. And when we were planning on traveling full time, Josh and I had this image in our heads of like, it's going to be so awesome because we're going to live nomadically and we're going to work from the road. Like, we're going to have all this free time. We're going to like do yoga every day and we're going to meditate every day. And like, we're going to have all this free time. We're going to read these books we've been wanting to read. And like, we're going to write our blog all the time. And I feel like it's the opposite. Like, since we've gone on the road, it's been more challenging to find personal time. And part of that is being away from our support system, like friends and family who would, be able to help out with the kids. It's, it's just Josh and I and the kids. So we don't really have a whole lot of relief on a regular basis. Yep. But we have to make even more effort, I think, now to find time to do our yoga or our meditation, or to have the self-awareness to say, I really need to do my yoga, or I really need some personal time. So like, you need to take the kids for a walk because I need to take care of myself. And I feel like, we go up and down, but we are getting better at having that awareness and being able to be honest and communicate with each other and help each other out in that way, so that we can take care of ourselves and be the best people that we can be and the best parents we can be, and, make the most of this experience.
I really could not agree more. I love it. And I'm really glad that you said that, because I think all too often people, mothers specifically, but even fathers, they neglect their own well-being because they have to do all of these other things. And I feel like that's one thing that a lot of people just don't talk about, is just the self-care and how everything stems from that. And I even just recently, I started paying for a membership to a yoga studio, because for the longest time I said, oh, I can't afford that. We can't do that. But really it was just sacrificing maybe something else to do that for myself. And which in turn, like you said, trickles down to the rest of my family and my kids. So yeah, I love that. Great. What encouragement could you offer our listeners who might be listening to you and saying, oh my gosh, this sounds so cool, but I just don't know how I would even take that leap. Maybe they are, the fear of it is just kind of keeping them from making that decision. Is there any advice you could give them if they're thinking about that?
Yeah, we get asked questions similar to this often, and it's kind of fascinating actually to have this type of discussion with people.
Yeah.
I mean, the first thing is you'll never be ready. You'll never get everything prepared ahead of time. You'll never plan it out, to your content to ever be able to do a life change like this. It's like parents will understand it, because no matter what you do, you're never ready for when your kid's there.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden there's a baby,
Yeah.
and then you just deal, So in a good way, that's kind of when you're doing a larger life shift like this, it's a little bit like that too. So I would say you just have to be real with yourself and decide, do you want to really try this or not? And then pull the Band-Aid off. Like, just go for it. Yeah. Everything really good that we've done, that's exactly how it's worked out. Like in hindsight, we always realize that's when things have worked out the best, is when we don't waffle. We just do it. So for us, once we decided we were traveling, it was like, put the house up for sale, start having garage sales, get rid of the car, like just start going for it. And it all works out.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, and then I think once we started to take action on our dream, even though we didn't have everything figured out from A to Z, opportunities start coming up, or we start, getting a new idea of how to deal with a potentially, difficult situation or an issue that we were having. Like, things just started presenting themselves as soon as we started taking action and going in the direction of our dreams and not getting hung up on trying to figure out or plan every little detail. It's not like, it's not like airy fairy, like, oh, just put out that positive intention and everything will happen. Like, you've got to actually take action and start moving toward it. And yes, things do come up and things do open up and there are opportunities, but you have to actually go for it. You have to do the work.
Yeah, I would echo that it's not to say like, the universe will provide, like something floofy, although that all plays into it, but it's not to say it that way. It's to say like, you just have to be willing to trust that, you can take care of yourself. Like, it's going to work out. You can do it. And if you do something like this and then you don't like it, you can change it again.
Right. Well, and especially as a team, you guys have each other and you're able to tackle it together. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So do you want to tell us just a little bit more about your Nomad? Is it called Nomad Business Coaching? Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
And then also just where our listeners can find you guys and follow along on your journey.
Yeah, so we exist online in all of the standard places. So we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we have a website. So Nomad Yoga Family is our blog and website, and Nomad Business Coaching is our business coaching business that we do. So you can check those out. If you Google them or do nomadyogafamily.com, you'll find us right away. And then our YouTube channel, we've got we're starting more and more videos all the time, so we've got some fun stuff going on there as well.
Awesome.
And Nomad Business Coaching kind of came on naturally over the last few years. We've been in the small business world for a long time and in the yoga world for a long time. And what we find is that, we really love teaching yoga, but a lot of really great yoga studios need a little bit of help with the business end of things. And that's mostly just because when you open a yoga studio, you're usually doing it because you really love the yoga that you offer and you love teaching and you want to share that with the people around you. But and you went to yoga teacher training to be good at it,
Right.
but you might not have gone to business training. And nowadays, the yoga and the wellness industry is massive. There's a lot of competition and there's a lot of, things going on out there. So you need to handle your business, so to speak. And
Yeah.
we got asked by a bunch of studios, unsolicited, to come in and help them with that sort of stuff. And it sort of developed from there over the last few years. So we also have an online course that people can do that's for yoga business or wellness business. It's at nomadbusinesscoaching.com, and it's called The Foundation. So it's like all the foundational aspects of what it takes to run a successful yoga studio. And we, of course, do online work with a lot of people, and we also visit studios on request to come in and help teach and help get the business sort of working really well. There's actually a semi-famous quote by Sadhguru from the Aisha Center recently, and he said that in the next decade, the most important leadership in Western culture is going to be business leadership, because that's where things are happening right now, is in the business world. So in the wellness business, it couldn't possibly be more obvious. You might be a great yoga teacher, or you might really offer something that's very powerful for helping people, but if you can't turn the lights on because your bills aren't paid, that doesn't help anybody. Yeah. So that's what we're trying to bring to people, is the ability to really proliferate what matters, and that's their awesome product.
Yeah. I just think it is so cool. It's a great idea, because so many times, creatives, we have these blogs, or, or hairdressers, even, people who are in the creative world, yogis. And then the business side of things is just so tedious sometimes. You just don't even want to deal with it. So the fact that you guys can come in and just really, give them a clean slate and tell them how to go from the ground up, that is awesome. And how fun for you guys too. That's great.
It's extremely rewarding for us too, because it's just like when we teach a yoga class and a student, says after a while, I really feel good and this has improved my life. That's really why you teach yoga. So when you're business coaching as well, when you help a studio and then they phone you and we, follow up months later and they're like, you know what, we've got lots of people coming in here and they're seeing these successes, and I'm not stressed out about paying my rent this month because things are balanced like that. It's the same thing. Like, you get this really positive feeling. So it's really rewarding.
Yeah. And I mean, we didn't sell our yoga studio or, sell our house or do any of the changes that we've done because we don't like the yoga, or we don't want to teach the yoga, or because we don't like our house or our city or our community. We wanted to live authentically and do something different, embark on a new adventure, but still be able to integrate, the yoga practice and our same core values with us on the road. So we're really happy that we've been able to allow that passion to evolve into teaching on the road and then doing the business coaching. And it all happened naturally. We didn't really plan it all before we left. It was just taking advantage of opportunities that presented themselves and being open.
I knew that you guys traveled and I knew you were doing yoga, but just sitting here talking with you guys has been so enjoyable. So thank you so much for coming out to Cohesive Home and sharing your story with us. And for all of you listening, just definitely follow along on their YouTube channel and their blog. But thanks so much, Josh and Jenna.
Thank you, Melissa.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It's been fun.
Thanks again to Josh and Jenna for joining me today and sharing more of their story. And for all of you listening, if you're enjoying this interview series, please leave us a review on iTunes or send us an email at hello@cohesivehome.com. We love hearing from you. Thanks for listening today, and we'll see you next time.